Hello and welcome to a new watercolour video. Today I'm painting these cute wonky houses. I'm using the Gansai Tambi watercolours. I'm using Archie's watercolour paper. I'll list everything, all the paint colours and all the supplies that I've used on this painting. I'll list them all in the description below. And you can download this free of charge on my Patreon. If you want to watch the extended version of this with nothing cut out, no speed ups, no music or anything, you just want to relax and paint it in real time along with me, and there's more instruction as well because I haven't cut a lot out, those real-time versions are available on my Patreon as well, and that's on my £5 tier. So I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you paint along. So I'm just getting the line work onto the paper. I'm not going to go into details about this because I've showed it so many times. It's just going to get repetitive, so most people know how to do this, and if you don't, you could look back on previous videos where I show this in more detail. Okay, so I've got the image on the paper. And I'm going to go over this with black lines. I'm going to use this Rotring 0.1. I love these pens. I think these are some of the best fine liners you can get. And I'm going to add a basic thin line, and then I'll probably add some more lines after we've put the paint on. So I'm just making it kind of scratchy looking. Everything wonky. So I'm just doing it fast and keeping it kind of loose, if you hadn't noticed. And then putting some aerials and little decorative bits on the top of the houses. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the paint. That looks a little bit crappy now, but once the paint's on and we add loads of black lines at the end to make it look all scratchy, I think it'll look really nice. I'm going to use the Gansai Tambi watercolours today because I think they're really popular. A lot of people seem to really like them. So I'll just play a little around with some colours, see which colours I want to use. And the fact that my picture's square and I'm using a rectangle sheet of paper, so this section I've been using for just swatching some colours out. So that's what I'm going to do. all colours I need. So we want the Saffron Yellow, the Mars Orange, the Venetian Red, Cobalt Violet, the Carmine, the Rose Madder, Horizon Blue, Greenish Yellow, Billiard Green. I'm going to use this shadow green as well. So I'm going to make up some of the Horizon Blue and paint in some sky first of all. So we just want it to be super light so that the deep colour of the houses will stand out against the sky. I'm going to use this brush, so it's like a rough stippler brush, because I don't want to take it right to the edges and I want some dry brush effect around the outside of the sky. So I'm just going in with the brush dry. Oops, I think there's something on the brush there. Try and clean the brush. It doesn't matter because it'll add a nice little bit of variety in the colour, but there's some yellow or something on that brush. I might just take it right from the pan. And I'm just going to paint it around the houses kind of roughly, but not take it to the edge. That's probably going to look nice actually, with that extra bit of colour there, like a happy accident. And then I'm going to get a smaller brush and then just paint in between the houses. Maybe square this off a little bit like that. Okay, so that's how I'm going to leave the sky. Just kind of jaggedy edges. I forgot to take out the pencil lines, so I'll do that now on the houses. Oops, oh, I made a mess there, it doesn't matter. I'm going to dry the paint first. That would be a better idea. Right, so I'll start with the first house and make up some colours for that. So we want the Cobalt Violet, want some of that. The Carmine. And the Rose Madder. I'm going to start with the little roof part. I'm going to paint this like this purpley violet colour. I'm going to add a little bit of the red in here as well, just to give a bit of variety. So this is the Carmine. paint this other little roof. This is another little roof kind of sticking out the top. And then I'm going to start with the rose madder, and I'm going to make it pink at the bottom and then make it redder as we go up. Just washing my brush out, get a little bit of clear water. I'm going to make it a little bit more washed out towards the bottom. And then I'm going to go into the Carmine and start adding that to make it more kind of red further up, like a stronger colour, and just let it blend into that pink. I might go redder actually, I might get, because it's still looking super pink. I've got Cadmium Scarlet, which is more red, more orangey red. Just paint that on nice and thick. And let it kind of blend in. And then I'm just going to get some water on the brush and lift some little bits out. Going to make it like a little bit washed out in some places, so it doesn't look like one solid colour. Just washing the brush, cleaning it, drying it off, and then lifting out. I'm probably just going to leave it messy like that, and while that's drying I'll move on to the middle house, which is going to be a nice bright yellow. So I'll make up some of the Saffron Yellow. The Mars Orange. And the Venetian Red, which is kind of browny. Okay, so Saffron Yellow. Water it down a bit. I'm going to throw in some of the Mars Orange to let it blend in. More of the saffron orange in, just to darken it up a little bit. I'm going to get some of the Venetian Red and then put this all over the top area, kind of underneath here where it would be a lot darker, and just let it blend into the wet paint underneath. I'll go down the edge, a little bit more Mars Orange. Just put a couple of little bits just to give it kind of a dirty look, just drop them in. A little bit more Saffron Yellow. Just to give a little bit of interest in the, you know, in the render. Lift some bits out again, get some light patches. Okay, I'll move on to the next one now. So the next one's going to be green. I'm going to make up some of the Billiard Green and this Greenish Yellow. Start with a little bit of the Greenish Yellow at the bottom. Gorgeous, that colour. Then add a little bit of the Billiard Green. I'll start from this corner. And I'm going to take it down and let them blend into each other. A stronger colour up in the top. Going to add some water and just water that down. So we've got a nice light patch as well. And I'll put some in here as well. Maybe make this a little bit darker. Okay, so I'll let those dry. And I'm going to move on to the grass bank area at the bottom. I'm going to get rid of the Billiard Green. That's a lot more of the Greenish Yellow. And I'm going to get some of the Shadow Green. A little bit of the Blue Grey Deep as well. Might add some of that in. I'm going to get a larger brush for this. It's a larger area. I think I'll wet the whole area, but I'm not covering it all. Like, I'm going to leave some white across the bottom as well, so I'm not going to take the water all the way to the bottom. And I'm just going to roughly drop this colour in. Put some shadow colour. Maybe at the bottom here. And add some of this Blue Grey Deep into there as well. Try and darken those shadows a little bit. And then this area, make that dark where there's going to be some steps. I'm going to lift some of this out, it's too dark. So I'll just lift that out for now. Add some more green. I think I'll add a tiny little bit of this browny colour as well. Just try and tone it down. That looks better. Washing my brush out, and I'm going to lift some of this out across the edge. Don't want it like that strong at the bottom. I want it to kind of fade out a little bit. as it gets to that area. I'm going to lift some of the colour out around the steps as well, because we want some kind of grey steps. Don't want it all green. So I'll get rid of some of that green in that area. Now I'm going to go around all the other little areas like the windows, and I'm going to paint them all in different colours, the other little roofs and everything, the doors all in different colours, and I'll just try and use the colours that I've already got in my palette. Some of the windows I'll do kind of light, like a really light colour, as though they've got blinds up. And then some of them I'll do dark as well, much darker.
Come on, soft, turn the key and cooler on. Push the pause for relief.
So these are other kind of little windows and things, like kind of jutting out to the side of the house.
Have to ask to be the cat in the sun. Someday I will see the whole deal through. Today I've got better things to do. Okay, to leave a little bit undone and be the cat in the sun. Be the cat in the sun. Set aside every empty spreadsheet line and loosen up on the grind. Simmer down, settle back and mess around. Be the cat in the sun. Someday I will see the
I'm just mixing a little bit of Mars Orange with that blue-grey deep, just to make another colour, like a kind of wood colour, dirty wood colour maybe. Just going to paint that colour. Some of these. Going to add that underneath here, to give some shadow underneath there. And loads of shadow underneath here. So this is supposed to be like the underneath part of this kind of canopy. And then all this would be in shadow. Just dry brush a little bit of shadow on there. I'm mixing some of this Venetian Red in with a little bit of blue-grey deep to make a really much darker brown. And I'm going to add some strong shadow here, so underneath this roof, a little bit of shadow underneath this thing here, a little bit under here, underneath the windowsills. Now I need to make a shadow colour for the red, so it needs to be super dark red. I'll mix the blue-grey deep with the violet, so the Cobalt Violet. I'll make a super dark colour. Actually, it's going to be too dark. I'll add some red into that. So I'll add some Carmine into that. And that should be a nice shadow colour to go under here. That will match this colour. And then we want some under the windowsill. And then of course we want some under the platform here, the canopy thing. It'll be really dark under there. I'm just going to drag that colour down a little bit. It's nice and dark just up at the top of the doorway there. Just feather it down a little bit with the brush. I'm going to use the blue-grey deep, get it a little bit watery. I'm going to add a little bit of the Venetian Red to it. I'm going to make it quite watery, and then I'm going to paint this little brick area. Now that's way too strong because I want the bricks to show through, so I want it quite watery. Not sure what I'm doing with the steps yet. I'm going to lift some of that out so you can see the brickwork. I'll just paint a little bit of that colour on there as well. And a few little bits on here because this is just looking a little bit boring. So just mess it up a little bit. Okay, so that's where we are so far. I think it's looking quite nice actually. It's coming along. Right, the next thing that I'm going to do is, well, I've just dried it all off with the hairdryer. I've just dried it all off with the heat tool, and what I'm going to do now is go over everything with the black lines, get loads of sketchy black lines in there and give it that ink and wash look, and then I'll add like final details after I've done that. So I'm gonna really scratch the lines in like this and put some lines on that roof. This will like give it loads of character. Just do it like really fast. And then I'm going to, at the edges here, add loads of black in there just to make it darker. I'm going to add what looks like kind of little bits of brickwork just here and there, the edges and stuff. Just gives so much character, doesn't it? I mean, it's actually fairly easy, this, to do, because you can't go wrong. It's just scribble, and I think it just looks so good. Make this one look like it's wooden panels. I think it's looking pretty good. Right, I'm going to try and maybe just scribble some steps in somehow. Put some like kind of scribbly bits of foliage here and there. Do you know what? I'm really pleased with that. I think it's one of the quickest things I've done, and I think it looks really good. I'm really liking it. I think I'm going to do more of this scribbly kind of art. Just think it looks so nice. I need to fix these. Can you see what I've done with these? These little posts, I've got them going at the back, and they should be coming right up here, so I'll have to put some white on those to make it look like they're, you know, at the front holding it up, and then the same here, that would be underneath. I'm just really pleased with this. Right, so I'm going to do some finishing details, add more paint, add more shadows and more details, and fix those steps up. So I'm going to go and just add a few more paint details now in some areas. So I'm just going to methodically go through every element and see if it needs any shadows or shading. So we're having the shading on kind of this side, like the top left. So maybe just add little bit on that edge, a little bit around here. So I'm using like a dark purpley mix for shadows on the red. Maybe come out a little bit more on that side. Right, now the steps, I think what I'll do with the steps is I've got like the dark brown that I made, and I'm gonna kind of make steps like this. There's other, maybe kind of like a wooden block step. I've got to do a little bit of shading here. I'm going to darken this shadow here on the green, so with a darker green. I'm sure it's the shadow green. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of light grey just to these parts of the steps. I'm not really pleased with the steps, but I'm kind of stuck on what to do with them. So just kind of watery. I'm going to add some more of that nice greenish yellow. Just kind of dry brush it on there. And then grab some of the shadow green and kind of drop it in the edges to try and maybe take it onto the steps a little bit as well. Just to try and blend those steps in a little bit. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the steps like that, I think. Don't want to keep messing with them. I can't get them right and I don't want to keep messing with them, so I think I'll just leave them at that. I think the eye is drawn to the colour anyhow, so I'll just leave that as it is and move on to the highlights now. I'll use this. I'm sure most people have heard of this, Dr. Martin's Blade Proof White. It's just like a little white paint, quite opaque. Give it a little mix. I don't know why I don't reach for this more often. I always forget about it. Might have to paint a second layer over the top if it dries darker. So just catch the edges of things on the right, like the corner of this. Maybe do a little line there, down the edge of here. couple little bits across there. The light would maybe catch that. Little white dots as though there's maybe some little flowers on here. I don't like that this comes up to the edge a little bit too much, so I'm going to add some white. Take that edge in a bit. Might add a little bit more, make it a little bit more opaque. Hopefully it'll dry okay. Do a little bit of dry brush. So it's the side of the brush just to blend it in a little bit. I'll get some more of that dark green and add a little bit more shading under here. And then also this corner, make it a little bit darker. And I forgot to add the white on those to cover those black lines. Yeah, that brings them forward now, so they're not like sitting at the back of that balcony area. Just gonna add a few little lines on here as well, because I just think this little roof here just looks a little bit boring. And there we go, the finished painting. I'm really pleased with this one. I hope you paint along. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please remember the full version with nothing cut out at all, apart from long silences. But it's mostly real time. So if you want to just paint along with me in real time, that's available on my Patreon. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll have another video up next Friday.